Are we terrible people?
Nah. We're not terrible people, Lois.
Backup goalies are terrible people.
You've got 20.
Hit me.
Peter, don't.
Hit me.
21.
Hit me.
Peter.
Hit me.
That's 30.
Hit me.
So I can prove to you there's nothing wrong with what you do.
I run an unsuccessful shrimp company.
Oh, but you run it, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Off the minute, Swayman center, score! Mika Zibanejad! Tinoff scores! In, Saka shoots, scores! Sternak denied, Lindholm loose, and Quick kept it out.
After video review, the puck completely crossed the goal line at 32.9 seconds.
This pass leads to a goal! But Konstantinov scores! He scores! Day, Pasternak looking back door.
Everybody needs to be fired. Secretary, office workers, the sick boy. They all need to go. Fire the hot dog guy. That's how bad this organization is. Find somebody from a winning organization, not Glenn Sather, not freaking any of these idiots that are involved.
And the Bruins have put up 10. They've done it at home since 1979.
Boo this man!
Look at me, son. It's not your fault. I know.
Oh, well, that would help. Yep. Welcome to Big Apple Hockey. I am your host here, John Fulkowski, for another episode of The Final Buzzer. I know it's a little late. I couldn't really do it last night because got home a little too late, was a little too tired. But yeah, I think we needed to have this because after two pathetic losses in a row, the Rangers suffered a third one. And part of that is also because, as you can see on the ticker at the bottom, Vince Mercogliano had a guest spot today on Daily Faceoff Network with Jeff Marek. And I'm going to go over that, and because I watched that entire segment, and I watched the segment with Brian Burke before that as well. But yeah, I want to go over that as well, just because there's a lot of things that Vince said that were really kind of I'm happy about that, David. Very much happy about that. Very happy to see Evan in here too. I haven't seen you in a while, buddy. Hope all is well. But you know, this is just brilliant, Anthony. Brilliant. So, yeah, I'm going to say right now that we're going to start with last night, and I don't know how this team can come out. Actually, you know what? This is actually a great post right here on MYR for Life. They have not won a home game since before Thanksgiving. In the last 5 games, they've been outscored 30-12. Thank you, Kaylee. Yeah, definitely listen to it later or watch it later on YouTube, whatever you want to do. But yeah. And they got you out of retirement? Whoa, man, that's saying a lot. That's saying a lot. But, I mean, going back to yesterday itself, I just don't understand how you can have a game like the way they had in Boston, respond the way they did on Saturday against Seattle, on Monday against Seattle, and then follow it up with what they did last night. And not only did they come out flat and uninspired, they just looked like they just did not care. like everyone in that room is checked out. And I get it, times are hard and it's tough and it's a lot to go over. And it's a lot for, guys to face the music and answer the tough questions that they have to answer after these games. But I mean, you gotta show up with something more than what they've been showing up with. And this is honestly, it's pathetic. I mean, I know I put down at the bottom, the line from Local H's Bound to the Floor, in the chorus, but it's crazy to think about. Just give me 1 second, sorry. Sorry about that. I don't understand how these things happen this way. So it's something is up with my screen. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to readjust here. Bear with me 1 second. I don't know what happened. I'm sorry. Bear with me here. I might have to just leave and come back real quick. So something's really wrong with my screen right now. All right, hold on 1 second. I'm sorry about this. All right, sorry about that. I do apologize. Had technical difficulties there for a second, but I don't know how this continues in games after like the way that they played on Saturday, and then they followed up the way that they followed it up on Monday. They come out, they have a nice first 20 minutes, and then they just forgot that there was the rest of the game to play. I see people talking about Dolan, and he's not going anywhere, unfortunately. I would love that if he somehow sold the team, but yeah, I don't. It's funny because when I look at something like this, I always think back to the CM Punk pipe bomb promo back in 2011, where he talks about how this company won't get better until Vince McMahon steps down or dies. And then it might not even be the same then because he'll hand it over to his doofus son-in-law and stuff like that. That's literally what I think of when I see something like this. Because I think of that very promo from CM Punk. And CM Punk, I was like right on the money with it too. Because the company's gone to shit. But I don't see how this team can get better until Dolan steps back again, like he did in 2004. And just lets the general manager just do his thing and take over. And yeah, would love to have you on, Evan. Would love to have you on again and talk some hockey. We'll definitely set up something. I think I'll have a little more time to do a little more of these in the near future, so that'll be good. But yeah, I just don't understand how Dolan just he knows nothing about hockey. He knows nothing about hockey. And he knows that. I'm working. Yeah, let's go, buddy. Let's go. I'm not highlighting that last comment. That comment's hilarious and it's great, but I am not highlighting that. I am not. There's no way I can highlight that comment. Holy shit. Oh, I mean, I needed that laugh. I'll tell you right now, Anth. I needed that laugh, and that was great. Well done, buddy. Well done. But Oh, no, I'm not highlighting that one either. No. All right. We need to get back on the rails here, guys and girls. All right. This is just I love it, but this is insane. It's gonna be like that one stream where everything went completely off the rails, and I couldn't even corral it. For it keeps going down this road. Oh, but yeah, oh my god. If we had sponsors worthwhile, oh man, that would be terrible. All right, I want to talk about this real quick before I get back to the recent games. And yeah, Shanahan was somebody that I forget who it was talking about Shanahan, whether it was a beat or I think it was a beat writer was talking about Shanahan. And I saw somebody say that, oh, well, Shanahan had this and that, and he couldn't get Toronto over the hump. And, I think Shanahan's got to be better than Drury. But I mean, if you want to say the bar is low, I understand why people would think that. I know that there's been some discussions. I know, like, I've talked with, a friend of mine, Phil Kosher, who I talk with a lot on Twitter. You guys all follow him and look at his stuff. And he does a lot of the summations of the podcasts and the spots from guys like Elliot Freeman and Vince and so on. So he's great. He's a great follow if you don't already. But yeah, he's said that what's the unknown? Is the unknown worse than Drury? Can it be worse than Drury? Yeah, it can be worse than Drury. I don't know if there's much that's worse than this. I don't. And I understand why he tried to deconstruct the team the way that he did and move on from the core, because you guys, a lot of you that are here right now were here on the stream right after they lost to Florida. And we have got Captain Mike Captain is about to join us here in a second. But I said it right after they lost to Florida. It was over. It was done with. That was the closest they were going to get. They had to make the changes. But the way the Drury handled it and then sold off all their secondary scoring, all of their depth for an aging JT Miller, and the fact that he gave a goalie a massive contract on the same day that he dealt the captain when he identified that the core wasn't good enough to win. Like, it's mixed signals. Like, it just shows me that he doesn't know West from East. Like, I you know what, MYR for life, this is actually good, because I would love to see if one of those two general managers are available. I know Joe Sakic is really in their presidency position right now, and he's not really up for being a general manager. And I don't think he wants to uproot his family, because he's been living in Denver for about 30 years now. He's been living in Denver. But I mean, yeah. And Ray, you're right about that. They looked absolutely depressed. So, Evan saying Sonny Meta would be someone that he would hire. I mean, that would be a name that I would wonder if would come up. Yeah, we're ordering pizzas today. We're going to order pizzas. So, but yeah, it just, I don't know why he compounded mistake on top of mistake. And that just shows me that Rich Peverly would be somebody I would really love to get in there. He's been a part of the Dallas organization, I think, for a while now. And I would really love to see, again, Mark the other day in his rant mentioned get somebody from a winning organization that understands how to do things at a developmental level and win while doing it. And he's right. Like, Mark couldn't be any more right about that if he wanted to. And yeah, I think Rich Peverly is the perfect fit. I would throw a blank check at him. And you know what else I would try to do? I like Mike Sullivan. And I think Mike Sullivan is doing a decent job, all things considered, the shit show that he knew he was walking into. But try to see if you could get David Carl. Like, it is time to start with a new direction. And again, this is not Sullivan's fault. Like, let me be clear and just say it's not Sullivan's fault. None of this is his fault. This all started happening before he was still coaching in Pittsburgh. The one thing I will say is they should have never brought back David Quinn. David Quinn should have never should have been brought back. Like, I don't understand what the organization saw when you had a good portion of your team that played there under Quinn that didn't have great things to say about Quinn during his exit interviews. Why was he brought back then? And yeah, exactly. You know, a cook is only as good as the ingredients. And Sullivan is just the latest victim. It's really what it is. And it's sad, but I do think that there is a pass to be given to Mike Sullivan. But David Carl would be a fit for me. And I love I know he's a college guy, and some people like to look at Dave Haxtell and what happened with Dave Haxtell took Philadelphia, a Philadelphia team that was on the decline, by the way, and took those guys to the playoffs. Then he took a young Seattle team in their second season to the playoffs. And then he got blamed for everything that happened afterwards with Seattle, which really wasn't his fault because Matty Beniers didn't develop the way that he should have developed. And they did nothing to really, kind of supplant that team around him and build it up. And here we are. Oh, Captain, my captain. Welcome, Mr. Mark Williams.
Thanks for having me on, Phil. Thanks for having me on and calling me into this. And yes, we might as well order the sushi pizza that Chris Drury would end up bringing us because, my goodness, you know something? I had the rant, and I'll bring it up in a second. We're not even at rock bottom. There's going to be a new low. There's always a new low with this team because when you don't ever correct the problem and you just say, oh, everything's fine, there's new low is coming. And it is. It genuinely is. I said this before, and a matter of fact, let me go get it for everybody that's at home right now, because you can't help but look at the New York Rangers and go, well, something's wrong. We should change things. There are still the people, I guarantee you, the people that still think this team is one player away from competing not only for the playoffs, but for a Stanley Cup. They're the people you can't get them to understand this team is nowhere close to anything. And how is it that I just loaded up the Twitter because I want to bring up what happened or what I said today. And for some reason, I'm getting tweets from 2012, which is how many times did you watch a Vincent Trocheck OT winner? Phil, we're a long ways away from that. This is
Toto, we're not in Kansas anymore.
Yeah, we're not even. Yeah, we're not close. We're not even close to that. It's sad because it didn't have to be like this, but it is. But the real question is, what is rock bottom for the New York Rangers, Phil? What really is rock bottom? We don't even know what rock bottom is because rock bottom keeps on coming. Here we go. I have the tweet now. Let's bring it up for anybody that hasn't seen it. And here we go. And it's, what is rock bottom for the New York Rangers? Honestly, what is rock bottom? They've been shut out 8 times, almost 9. It's not getting embarrassed 10-2 on national TV. It's not getting dunked at home 4-0. That was a misspell. I don't even know what it was. I think I put embarrassed twice is why I changed it to something else. That was the first period of a week. It's just it's well, we'll play it again right now. We'll go in there. It's not fans paying hundreds of dollars a game and continually demanding a change because their team isn't competitive. It's not because their captain has no accountability or he demands accountability, but he accepts
Shut
none.
up.
It's not a failure to develop a first and second overall pick. This is where we'll get back to that one in a second. It's not an organizational cover-up of
see me crash out. That's all. He really wants to see me crash out.
It's not an organizational cover-up of a sexual assault allegation. It's not an embarrassing fallout from trades that you made. It's not failure to develop a first and second overall. I put it on twice. So I guess I can't believe that's there. It's not a lack of prospects in the system. It's not seeing your rivals select somebody who is going to be the face of the league. And by the way, that as much as I like Matthew Schaefer, as a Ranger fan, it's embarrassing. The Rangers should have somebody almost as likable as Schaefer, but instead you have JT Miller, who is, and it's not even close. We're not even close. And Chris Drury can do much worse. You guys think 10-2 on national TV was something? Again, they led that game. They led that game 1-0. Then you come out against Seattle, you're like, yeah, maybe this team might have some guts. They don't have any guts. This team is nothing. They need, and now they're at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. The Ottawa Senators are making fun of them. Let's compare the Ottawa Senators week to theirs. And let's bring in the guys from Ranger Central right now in on this. With Matt and Evan. And Evan, great to see you back because, you know, somebody.
Yeah, we've missed you, buddy.
Yeah. Somebody was commenting that you retired. But this team, we still haven't seen rock bottom. And the reason why you haven't seen rock bottom is because Chris Drury is still here. That's the problem.
Hold on. I'm just going to say one thing real quick because we're going to get into the talk about what I'm going to surmise. I don't know if anybody else watched Vince's spot with Jeff Marek today on Daily Faceoff Network, but we're going to get into that. And I'll tell you right now, Vince Mercogliano started really reminding me of Larry a little bit. He started reminding me of Uncle Larry, and I was very happy about that because he started going off on them. And I mean, if Molly's doing it and Vince is doing it, maybe we'll see changes sooner than later because how are they going to ignore it?
I was just getting rid of that one thing, the background noise. I mean, Evan, we were ranking during our State of the Rangers last year. We were ranking the different, the most embarrassing things, or the most embarrassing games. The game against the Devils where they quit is number one. This is worse because they're trying.
Yeah.
Can we honestly say they're trying, though?
I mean, well, the front office thinks they're trying and thinks that this is a competitive roster, but it's just not. I mean, that's kind of the difference here is you have a team that thinks they're competitive when they're really not. And that's really the sad part is that they're having a hard time looking themselves in the mirror. I commented it a few minutes ago and someone brought it up in my chat yesterday. The moment this group died is when they quit on Gerard Gallant in the middle of that New Jersey series. And once Drury took their side over Gallant's, it was over because it showed complacency. It enabled the fact that these players were able to control what goes on. And then when they don't get their way, they sulk, they bitch, they moan. And that's just what it is. That's where we're at this point.
I mean,
Matt, you did
not wrong, but Matt,
a lot of, he's not wrong on that. And Matt, you did a lot of yeoman's work on Monday on this. Just what more can you add after last night's game?
It's more of the same shit show, right? I mean, and it's like it's like the thing I brought up on the stream I did with Phil. It's like the stuff that I brought up last night when we did the stream on Evan's channel on Ranger Central. It's just it's tiring to the point because we keep repeating the same stuff over and over and over again. It's just like the same glaring issues. They apply to every single game, and it's like, how much more can you really just take? Because it's like it's sad to the point that people like us, people like content creators can point out these problems so much earlier than a guy like Chris Drury, even though technically he's supposed to be the general manager. He's supposed to be the guy that's quote unquote changing the culture and who's supposed to, be this winner that James Dolan coined him, even though. And again, like Chris Drury, this franchise, James Dolan, the worst part about it is not only that they have no hockey IQ, they have no sensibility, they lack so much self-awareness because they just won't fully just commit to the fact that this team, this group, was never good enough in the first place. They just weren't. You could say they went to 2 conference finals in 3 years, in 22 and 24, sure, but let's be honest, and that 24 run specifically, because the 2022 one I'll put it aside because that group was at least young and we at least gave them the benefit of the doubt. That 2024 team, let's be honest, that President's Trophy was a bit fugazi. Let's be honest, that was not a real President's Trophy win because they were a one-line team. They had Adam Fox had for the most part a decent year, and Igor Shesterkin for at least some parts of the seasons was at least good. Defensively, were they good for the beginning of the year? Sure, but that completely tailed off right after Thanksgiving happened. And like I said, they should have realized after that Florida series, because we can all be honest with ourselves, and we all said it right when it happened. That Florida series was nowhere close to being competitive. You could look at it on paper and say it was a 6-game series. Watching every single game, apart from maybe game 2 where they won that in overtime and maybe the beginning of game 3, you can't say that the Rangers were the better team. Florida single-handedly outplayed them. And the fact that Chris Drury looked at that core and said, because here's the thing, right? He tried to break a little bit of it down, but he never committed fully to it. And this is the problem with this group and this franchise specifically. They never commit to anything. They always try to half-ass everything. It's like we bring up with the letter right in 2018. Sure, you had the right idea by saying, look, we're going to take a step back and we're going to trade off some of the veterans. We're going to try to recoup some young talent. We're going to try to get draft picks. Draft some of these younger prospects, develop them. Like, cool, you could say that all on paper, but like we always say, talk is cheap. Actions matter more. And this franchise half-assed that quote-unquote rebuild, and they got close. They didn't win it. And then when they should have retooled, yeah, they technically did retool in a sense, right? But again, instead of actually taking a step back and having like a 2 to 3 year retool plan, they said, nope, we're going to try to do this all in one season or a season and a half. Let's lock up Igor Shesterkin, even though we all know that paying the goaltender $11.5 million is never the solution. Because again, when you look at Stanley Cup winners, those teams don't pay their goalies. Are there exceptions to the rules like Bobrovsky and Vasilevsky? Yes, but you have to look at deeper context because they weren't the ones that dragged their teams to Stanley Cups. And then they look at JT Miller, a guy who's been thrown out of multiple locker rooms, been thrown out of multiple organizations, a guy that's been called lazy and a cancer. Chris Drury identifies him and says, yes, that's the guy who I want to be captain. It's just, again, this organization half-asses everything.
Matt, hold on, because I need to expand on that thinking before we're too far away from it. It's a guy who they had, that they let go, that they themselves identified and said they got to get rid of him and let him go somewhere else, and because he's a cancer and a problem. And then they brought him back.
And named him captain after half a season. And that was my other problem, too, is that, listen, say what you will about the guys in the locker room, as is your Zibanejads, your Panarins, Fox, whatever. But it's got to rub you the wrong way that you see a guy get traded into the locker room mid-season and they slap the C on him after half a season and in a losing season nonetheless. It's not like he came in and turned everything around and dragged this team into the playoffs. It was losing hockey from the moment he stepped in, and they gave him the C. That's why I never was in favor of naming a captain this year in the first place.
Let me go further into what Evan said before I turn it over to you, Phil. Because Evan, that would imply that any of them cared, because it wasn't Kreider demanding the C. It wasn't Zibanejad demanding the C. It wasn't Panera demanding the C. Nobody wants this thing. So they gave it to JT Miller. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's the thing. I said that I was in favor of the JT Miller trade because one, they were getting rid of Filipino, which I knew that he was just one concussion away from retirement. And two, they needed another player that could come in and help in the top six. However, what I was not in favor of, and I was wrong for being in favor of JT Miller coming back, what I was not in favor of, and I said specifically that I didn't want them doing it, was naming the captain. I did not want them naming a captain. I said that. I said that there was no real captain available, and that's it. And they went and they did it anyway, and that was a big problem. But I want to move away from this, and I want to go, because there's a lot to talk about with this. There are several bullet points that we're going to go over, and there's a lot to unpack from it. So, Mark, you might have seen already what I put in the rundown, but this is Vince Mercogliano, our Vince Mercogliano of the Athletic, previously of Low HUD, is on with Jeff Marek earlier on today, probably on for about like 15, 20 minutes with him. And basically to go over and summarize, we'll start with bullet point number one. Jeff asks him basically when he thinks the Rangers are going to hit rock bottom, but he says, I don't think you hit rock bottom. I just think you stop digging your own hole. And he asks Vince when he thinks the Rangers are going to stop digging their own hole. You know what Vince's answer was? I don't know. Just like JT Miller the other night, I don't know. And honestly, I don't know whether or not they can go any further themselves and myself. Because listen, I look at this team right now. I see a team that's in their own heads. I see a team that looks like they're checked out mentally. The post game, the body language and the demeanor in the post game is just abysmal. This is the worst. I think I would rather deal with their post games as in the dark ages, in the real dark ages, because in the dark ages you had Arthur Staple who basically mentioned Bobby Holik, and how I quoted Holik yesterday. I don't know why they paid me to be a number one center when I'm not a number one center. Like that was the stuff you were dealing with back then. At least there was a sense of acknowledgement that they didn't give a shit, that they didn't care, that they were just there for paychecks. We don't even have that here today. We don't have that. But again, Vince doesn't know when rock bottom is. So, here's the question. When is rock bottom? Would a blowout loss to the rival Islanders do it? Because I know Dolan doesn't care about optics with the fans, but I do know that he does not like losing to rivals.
I'm going to let these guys answer first.
I don't think there is rock bottom. I just think the farther we go into this regime, and the farther that James Dolan decides to stick with this winner in Chris Drury, that's how far rock bottom is going to go. There is no end. There is no end. It's going to go how far until Dolan decides to finally pull the plug. But the worst part, guys, is, and this is something that I brought up on both the live streams that I did, is even when ultimately Chris Drury gets fired, and I beg that day becomes soon, because Jesus Christ, I will throw a party, I will buy a cake, I will spray champagne all over my room when that day finally arrives. But the worst part is, it's you can only celebrate for such a short time, because whoever they bring in as the next GM, whether it's Sonny Meta, whether it's Rich Peverly, whether it's the route I don't want to go down, which is Kevin Adams, which is the worst possible thing that could happen.
Wait, how is that going to happen? Is that actually a rumor that's in there?
No, but James Dolan is just that much of a dumbass, to which I wouldn't put anything past him, or Brendan Shanahan.
You're scaring me.
The worst part is that whenever this next GM comes in, they are set up to fail, because this next GM is tied up to so many long-term contracts. He's tied up to so many aging veterans. He has a prospect pool that is so depleted. This team doesn't have loads of draft picks, and even then, the developmental staff is garbage as it is with Mark Stahl, Jed Ortmeyer, and Tanner Glass. What's to say that those guys in the developmental system are going to get changed because those guys keep staying the same from regime to regime to regime. And like I said, the biggest problem with this franchise is they don't learn their mistakes. They keep making the same mistakes over and over and over and over again, and then they wonder why they don't win anything. And this fan base wonders why they don't win anything. Well, it's not a surprise when you have fourth line grinders and Mark Stahl, who, listen, no offense to those guys, but
thank you, Jay.
What have they shown to show that they should be put in those roles in terms of, you know, developing and helping prospects develop, and even some of the guys that, like, let's say, like you claim off waivers per se, because you see a lot of teams like Tampa, like Florida, they find these reclamation projects and they're able to actually turn them like into valuable bottom six guys or maybe even middle six guys at best. But this Rangers team, I mean, for example, like they pick up Arthur Kaliev last year off waivers and they don't even play the guy. I mean,
he was never a fit though. He was.
I understand that, but it's like it's the same thing. It's the same thing like with the disconnect of this franchise. It's like, why bring in Arthur Kaliev if you know you're not going to play him? Like, it just doesn't. It doesn't make any sense in the first.
It's almost like they stole from him, like he stole from his girlfriend.
Oh,
another Mark Banker.
Sorry, I went for the low hanging fruit.
But yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's like I said, there for this, though, the worst part is there is no end in sight because, like I said, the next GM is just set up to fail, and that's the saddest part.
I know. That's
why you fire everyone.
Really agree with that. Honestly, I think one of the biggest things with this team is that you need to get rid of the rot. And I was literally like, after I got done listening to that segment with Marek and Vince, I said to myself, I was like, I think the only way that we could, I'm with you, J.E. What are we doing here when we're talking about Kaliev? Like, I get why Kaliev's name was brought up. It's a dumb move, and it should have never happened. But, like, that's so far
down.
The
sad part is we have to bring up the Kalievs of the world because these are the guys Chris Drury assesses as valuable pieces. Look down the list of guys that he evaluated as good players or – worthy of waiver claims. Juuso Parssinen, he couldn't wait to bring him into the building, couldn't wait to extend him. Euro Vakanainen couldn't wait to bring him into the building and extend him just for him to be a seventh defenseman and now in Hartford. And he extended that guy. Couldn't wait to bring in Carson Soucy. Couldn't wait to bring in Will Borgen and extend him.
That was what I was going to get to.
I mean, the list goes on. I'm probably forgetting other names as well, but the guys that he's assessed as good players to fill in the margins or, just fill out this roster in general. It's just like, what are we actually doing here? Yeah, can't make Team Finland, and they evaluate Euro Vakanainen as a good piece. Do you know who leads the Hartford Wolfpack in scoring? I brought it up on my stream yesterday. Do you guys know?
No.
Justin Dowling?
Trey Fix-Walensky leads the Wolfpack in scoring.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what we're talking about here with this farm system. So I'm with Matt to where, Chris Drury gets fired. That's great and all. It is going to take years to get the stench that Chris Drury leaves behind out of this organization. And that's what's scary. You have no prospects. You have little to no draft capital. You're tied into aging veterans, which sure, maybe you'll get them the wave, but are you actually going to be able to, get the job as the Rangers GM if you come in here and say, yeah, I want to rebuild? Dolan's not going to hire you because he's so obsessed with this idea that you could microwave a championship. That's just not how this works.
Yeah, no, you're right. And what I was going to get to with that was that not only do you have to get rid of the general manager, but I do think you have to get rid of all the players that were involved in this regime. So that means your Panarins have to go. Zibanejad has to go. Trocheck has to go. Everybody that was involved with this team. Maybe sans Adam Fox, because I think Adam Fox is the one guy that I think that probably wants to stay in New York and wants to win in New York.
And the one guy that when he dons the sweater, he cares.
He cares.
That's the one thing.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that Igor Shesterkin doesn't care because I believe he does. I could see it in his body language, the frustration every night. But that's a contract that has to go to. I know it's going to be almost impossible for it, but I mean, you've got to get rid of everybody. And you're right. There's a depletion of a prospect pool. There's a stench that needs to be rid of. But you want to know how you start to build that up, you start to get rid of these assets sooner than later. And that means like now. Like I think Artemi Panarin needs to be gone before that Olympic freeze. Like, don't risk any injury. You saw what happened with Braden Point. Don't risk any injury. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Get Vincent Trocheck out of here. Yeah, it has to happen. And no offense. Well, I will say this about Vincent Trocheck. For a guy that was, basically pointed kind of like as a team leader by like the team and all the talk about him being such a leader and great leadership qualities. And even Vince Mercogliano today talking about intangibles with him, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Where is his leadership? Why is he not stepping up? Help your best friend out.
Again,
where is the help?
Again, Phil, this is the spirit of this team. This has been the spirit of this team. They're a bunch of front runners. Everything, when it's going right, can't go right enough. When they're faced with adversity, can't go wrong fast enough. The question on when are we going to hit rock bottom? And when Vince Mercogliano says, you don't know where rock bottom is, it's because there's a new rock bottom. They set this standard every single night. And I know when everybody says things like, with the fans should just boycott. No, they should be saying fire Drury every night. And then the next thing they have to chant is, don't listen to Sather. Glenn Sather should have nothing to do with the New York Rangers anymore. His time as a GM has been over for 10 years. And his time as a really good GM has been over for well over 10 years. There's no way Glenn Sather should be able to say anything. Look at what the New York Islanders are doing. I will go back to this over and over again because if everybody remembers what I said last year, I said, you know what? Let's fire Matthew Darsh and the Rangers should go and hire Jeff Halpern. It should have been in a rebuild back then. They're not. And instead, we have nepotism upon nepotism. And this is where Steven was right, and I didn't laugh about it enough before. And now look at what the Rangers are. The Rangers are a husk. This is a husk of a team. We are basically looking at games, and I do want to use the word looking at games because we're not watching. We're just looking. We're just going, look, they're playing. Oh, they're down 4-0 in the first period. All right. You know what my wife and I did last night? We watched Stranger Things season 4. That was it.
No spoilers.
First period. We watched, and by the way, keep in mind, 4, not 5, 4. Because we're behind on that. It was more important to catch up with older TV shows than it is to watch the New York Rangers right now. You could hear the disgust in Maloney's voice. That the Senators, when last night's game, didn't celebrate the 6th and the 7th goal. They were like, "Yeah, it went in. It's all right."
I want to address this real quick because we got other bullet points to go over. By the way, Mark checked the private. So we're going to address this because it's not that Urho Vakanainen is the biggest problem. Same way that I said Matt Rempe was a problem on Twitter the other day, and people are like, "Oh, we have a lot more problems than Matt Rempe." No shit, there are a lot bigger problems, but it's a problem that's part of a bigger problem, and that's why it's being brought up, and that's why Evan is right about it. Because if the talent assessment is an issue, and you want to talk about development and talent and scouting and evaluations, then you have to look at it situations like this where they're extending 7th defensemen like Urho Vakanainen, where they're handing over $4 million 5-year contracts with no trade protection for players like Will Borgen after a 17-game sample size. Like you're not like I get like you're looking at it from a surface level perspective, but you need to look at it beyond that because deeper down it's a bigger problem. It is a much bigger problem. And that's what we're trying to get at here. So instead of just saying, oh, well, why are we picking on Vakanainen or Rempe or so on and so on? The top 6 is a problem. Yes, the top 6 is a problem. 2 things can absolutely be correct at the same time. Nuance lets us believe this. It lets us know this. And that's what this is. It's a nuanced, deeper than surface level thought. And I don't understand why people are ignoring this.
because you want to turn around and you want to bitch and complain about, oh, well, they can't scout, draft, and develop players. Well, you're right about that. You're not wrong, but that ties into this because that tells you that their talent evaluation is wolf shit. Sorry, Evan, I'm going to steal your word. Wolf shit, complete wolf shit. So if we're going to sit there and complain about that, you can't turn around and say, oh, well, you can't complain about Urho Vakanainen because Urho Vakanainen is deep down the list of problems. No, it's part of a bigger problem. You have to look at the full picture here. And that's what James Dolan is incapable of doing. He is incapable of looking at the bigger picture. So this right here. Yes, it has been for 35 years. So why are we going to ignore it now? Why are we going to ignore it now? Like, please, someone help me understand this.
Like, Phil, just to mention this before one of the other guys jumps in right now. Somebody brought up, well, they always go for skaters like Amonte and Kreider. Or no, we had two good ones, like Amonte and Kreider. I replied back to this on Twitter. You just named two players that were 20 years apart.
Like, I mean, all right, so the biggest stat of all was that the last player that they developed as a first-round pick, or any forward for that matter, this is crazy, that the last player before Chris Kreider to have 30 goals and 60 points in a season that they drafted and developed, you want to know who that was?
Tony Monty.
Thank you. And Amonte was traded for two depth players. Just remember that. And you could talk about Matteau and how important that was and the goals and the 2 double overtime goals against New Jersey. I get it. But bigger picture, they don't know how to draft and develop skill players. And if you're going to continue to stupidly hand out contracts to depth players who don't deserve them, you're just committing the same mistake over and over again. It is the textbook definition of insanity. Like, I need people to understand this. I do.
And this is the other problem, though, as well, that it ties together because Chris Drury's been here for, 5 or 6 years now, and the fact that he couldn't draft and develop a seventh defenseman within the organization, doesn't that speak volumes that we have to extend Vakanainen to $1.5 million?
You're onto something. But here's the bigger problem. The fact that Chris Drury has not been able to identify the fact that the guys that he has in those scouting, drafting, and developmental systems in those positions have not been able to produce anything worth a damn in his tenure, and he still lets them have their jobs? How is this possible?
Well, again, I made the point, and I'll stick with this point. The Rangers aren't even scouting players that they deal to other organizations, and other organizations go, all right, let's make this guy to a 40-goal scorer. They're first, it starts with the scouting. You look at the player, you're going, all right, well, you know what? This Nils Lundqvist is going to be the greatest thing in the world.
Oh, well, God, Gordy Clark's special.
And then he didn't go to Dallas and become something great. Keandre Miller, I think, has peaked, and he's proven that right now. Like, where are we? Vitaly Kravtsov, geez, I know that Florida had him on their radar, but he was gone.
I'll say one thing quick about Vitaly Kravtsov. Anthony and I were on Off the Post, and we were at the draft in Dallas in 2018, and I personally interviewed Sam Cosentino at our media row. I had him with me in person. Very nice guy. He told me specifically that nobody could get a grip on where Vitaly Kravtsov was going to fall in that first round from anywhere between the bottom half of the top 10 to the end of the first round because he played across 3 different leagues. If that doesn't tell you about how bad they are at their jobs, what will?
Yeah, and that's why, again, all these things need to be brought up together as one, is because it all connects together one way or another. Because you could tell me, Urho Vakanainen's the least of the problems. Well, we wouldn't have to sit here and bitch and complain about a 7th defenseman making $1.5 million if they were able to draft and develop a 7th defenseman, nonetheless develop a competent 6th defenseman, because holy fuck, look at how bad Braden Schneider is. You want to talk about big problems because we got big fish to fry here? Braden Schneider has made Gavrikov look like absolute shit lately because he's leaving him on a goddamn island. And I'm so glad Dave Maloney stopped glazing him yesterday and started ripping him apart yesterday. And yes, this is the problem. You have 4 Euro Vakanainens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say one last thing about this because we got other things, and I'm limited on time personally. So,
as am I. So,
I mean, I'll say this right now: Braden Schneider is a problem that needs to be addressed because he's going to be coming up for a contract, and just like Keandre Miller, I don't want to pay that contract to Braden Schneider because he ain't worth it, and that also ties into drafting and scouting and development. But moving on from that, Vince also said that after each of these losses, the tension and volatility in the locker room is increasing. And regarding the different quotes from JT Miller and Mika Zibanejad in last night's loss, he said that there are different personalities in a room, but how can anyone objectively look at that game and not see an absolute drubbing? And Miller said things that fans don't want to hear when he talked about, oh, well, we came back and we played a good 40 minutes afterwards. No, you didn't play a good 40 minutes afterwards. He was saying, I mean, Vince said basically saying that he was saying things that weren't true. He also mentioned a gambit of emotions and how like it's affected JT Miller more than others. But like, you are a captain. You have to go out there and do your job and face these questions. And he also talked about how Miller from one game to the next is approaching things differently. Yeah. But I mean, this I'm totally with you on. Like Zibanejad, Perreault, and Noah Laba are the only guys that had good games last night, in my opinion. I didn't see anything otherwise from anyone else. So, but I mean, I don't know.
Wait, again, I got to unpack that line just for 1 second and say, Phil, if you have to spot a team 6 goals and then go, we really showed them after it was 6-0, you're an idiot. Don't say it out loud. You're an idiot. Thank God you're the captain, JT. Thank God you're back. Go to Bethpage Black right now. Go play because that's all you ever want to do.
Yeah, I was about to bring up the point that Is This Better just brought up. Ottawa just probably took their foot off the gas.
Yeah, that's what they did.
This isn't anything about how the Rangers played and how they responded or anything.
Oh, Vince did say that too. Yeah, Vince and Marek both said that.
They stopped celebrating goals. That's what you do in men's league.
Yeah, I mean it's terrible. It just I don't understand how they can. I mean, Miller can say something like that. Like, what were you trying to do? Who is he trying to fool? And to me, that's a slap in the face to everybody. It's not just a slap in the face to the media or the other team or the other teammates or, it's a slap in the face of fans. Like, you were literally trying to tell us that you showed them after you went down by 6-0. You wanted to get pumped 6 goose in the no-show in order to really start to show them? Yeah, bud. That's really going to do it. That's our fucking captain right there. Just remember that. But,
yeah, I mean, and you're enabling the fact that it's okay if you don't play a full 60. If you give a good 40, that's enough.
Well, I mean, they played a good 20 against Seattle, and the other 40 was shit. So
there should make T-shirts that say that.
Again,
More BS.
Again, the worst part was this was all predictable because if you just looked at the pattern of JT Miller from his time in Tampa, from his first stint here in New York, from his time in Vancouver, you could clearly see that this was a trend. And he repeats the same things over and over again. When things go well, sure, he could put up 100 points. But when shit starts to hit the fan, he glides, he moans. He doesn't play this quote unquote. He says that he plays this quote unquote no BS bullshit style of hockey, but we all know that that's a complete farce and just complete bullshit. And then like I said the other day. With the whole Elias Pettersson thing, like say what you want about Elias Pettersson, and I think both players are in the wrong here, but a true leader does not let 20 turmoil within a locker room or a clubhouse spill over into the media and spill over to the outside world. A true leader keeps that shit indoors and gets it resolved indoors, and you move on from it and you put it to the side and you say, you know what, we'll resolve it eventually, but you know what, we have to stick to playing our game right now. Otherwise, this stuff is going to spiral out of control and it's going to ruin our season. But of course, Chris Joy looks at it like, yeah, that is my captain, 100%. And then he comes in here. He's like, and then they lose games 10-2. They lose games 84. You know, they blow that 2-0 to Seattle. And then the media asks him tough questions like, I don't know. I guess we'll go to practice tomorrow, and you know we'll skate around and we'll fucking hug each other and shoot some pucks on that. Yeah, we'll be back though. Yeah, great fucking attitude. Great leadership qualities by JT Miller there.
Yeah, I mean, and then one thing that they also talked about, and I'll move on from that, was that, Jeff Marek brought up about, Winnipeg's locker room with Mark Scheifele and Blake Wheeler at the helm, and they let it hot. They ran that locker room hot, a lot of high emotions and everything like that. Vince tried to credit Miller for trying to do the same, but Miller needs to learn how to really kind of handle himself when it comes to the media. He does. And I liked Vince for getting on JT Miller about that.
Phil, can I just throw this quote out to you? This you can't. First off, there's an expression in acting called from Konstantin Stanislavski, who's one of the godfathers of acting. It's saying, "I can't bring your energy down. I can't bring it up. I can only bring it down." So if you have people going in high energy, high emotion, you can only kind of control that. You can't get blood from a stone like Mika Zibanejad and Artemi Panarin, who wouldn't care if you murdered their dog in front of them.
I don't know who was saying this. If you could provide a little more information, because I haven't seen anything about this.
There was a deal that I saw that was an insider that was saying that. By the way, that looks like that would make sense. There'd be no reason for Drury to do that because it makes sense. And yeah,
well,
no.
I mean, I'll tell you right now, though, like Vince mentioned that it's tough to face those interviews when you're undermanned. But here's where Vince goes Larry Brooks. He channels his Uncle Larry and says that, the team is simply not good enough. He acknowledged the poor roster construction and that they needed to sell off. And this is where things started to get really interesting because he started talking about selling off Panarin and the other potential UFAs. And, mentioned Susie, guys like that. Maybe even Kara could be going, that's step one. Step two is he talked about selling off Trocheck. And he said that probably won't be an in-season move, but it would be something that would be approached in the offseason. And he mentioned that Billy Guerin and other GMs love Trocheck's style of playing. They love his intangibles. We talked about intangibles before, obviously. But that would be the next step in the process. And then after that, which he says that it could be possibly very unlikely, but he sees where maybe down the road it could be a possibility. Mika Zibanejad has not been approached about waiving his no trade clause, no movement clause, and knows he loves living in New York City and doesn't want to uproot his family. But he says that he knows that Zibanejad is the type of guy that he could see wanting to win a cup in the future at some point, especially if they're not going in the direction in that direction. They're going in the opposite direction. So that's something to unpack there. It's a lot. I mean, I want to hear what you boys think about this.
I mean, yeah, I was bringing up a bit of this on my stream last night because, we were talking about how some of these guys are probably immovable, but at the same time, once you start to see guys go and you go in a direction where you're looking to get younger, you're looking to rebuild, more guys will get inclined to waive, and they got to do it sooner rather than later because I could tell you right now, like Iceman saying, Zibanejad, while he's playing at least respectable hockey, you need to approach him about this now before there's no value. Vinny Trocheck, you need to move him and cash in on the value before he becomes Barclay Goodrow 2.0 and he's on the decline and he's nothing more than a third liner. You have to start doing this now because all you're going to do is you're going to end up in the same situation you did with Kreider last offseason, and you're going to get a box of peanuts in return for these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I fully agree. They need to start selling out pieces right away. Artemi Panarin has to go. I don't want anything to do with the contract extension. He could be playing for free next year. I don't want him around this team. I don't want him around the players anymore because it's clear, while yes, he does produce at certain points, he's just a bad influence on players, quote unquote. And the main example being Alexei Lafreniere, because we've seen just how poorly he's rubbed off on him. Trocheck, listen, I love Trocheck. I think he's been a very good signing for this team, but it's clear that there's just a disconnect right now, and his game has just slowly started to kind of trend down. Now, look, if he gets traded somewhere else, do I think it could reinvigorate him and maybe being put into a new system, a better system, and being surrounded by better players? Do I think you could see a better Vinny Trocheck? Yeah, yes, I can. But like Evan said, you need to make sure that you hit on the value before it decreases anymore. And the valuable thing about Vinny Trocheck is, for, you know, the modern day NHL, he's only making $5.6 million a year. So for a third line center, that's a pretty decent cap hit. And at least he's shown the ability to where if he has to play a 2C role for a short amount of time, you could rely on him to, you know, fulfill that role correctly. And the other good thing is he only has a modified no movement clause. So, you know, it's not going to necessarily hamper his trade market. Hampers trade market a ton because you'll have options. Obviously, I don't know which teams are on there and which teams are not on there, but that's their job to figure out. Carson Soucy needs to go. The guy's a fucking shit show. He's a tire fire. He should never have been traded here in the first place. But again, that's just another master stroke by Chris Drury and his talent evaluation. Sam Carrick, I like him, even though I didn't like the signing at first. He's been a pleasant surprise. The fact that after this year he has only one more year and only making $1 million cap hit, you could probably get a decent draft pick for him. So I would explore moving him. And I mean, listen, I would have loved to trade Will Borgen last year before they gave him a stupid extension, but that's gone out the window. Should have moved Shesterkin. I mean, if there is any chance to move him, even though there isn't, that's just fantasy talk. That's not gonna happen. But and then with the Mika thing, listen. Is Mika playing better? Absolutely. But is he playing up to his contract, and is he playing up to anywhere that we saw from 2020 Mika's Zibanejad? Absolutely not. You need to trade him right now while the value is high. And like I said, he is playing well, but he's not playing well enough to the standard that this team needs to be a first-line center on a Stanley Cup winning team. He is not an Alexander Barkov. He is not a Braden Point. He is not a Steven Stamkos. He is not a Nathan McKinnon. He's not a McDavid. He's nowhere near close to those players. And like what Evan said, and like what I've been repeating plenty of times throughout the last offseason, is you can't make the same mistake with Chris Kreider, because, like I said, Chris Kreider should have been traded after the 2024 season when he was coming off 3 consecutive 30-goal or more seasons. You actually could have got something of value for him, but instead, Chris Drury, the masterclass he pulled off was he waited an extra year. Of course, Kreider had a ton of injuries. He completely burned the bridge in terms of a relationship, and then he ended up getting a pick and a guy in Carey Terrence who has a grand total of 5 points in Hartford right now with the Wolfpack. So it's just, again, this franchise has just shown an ineptitude of not being able to identify talent, and they always wait too long to trade away guys. They have to know when it's the right time to move on from these guys.
Yeah. I just want to jump in real quick and say Mike Enwire for life is 100% right with my worry still. But unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about that, because
I was just going to say that.
Do not trust Chris Drury to trade these guys for their right value either.
Yeah, because as I said on the short and I said on Monday's stream, I wouldn't trust Chris Drury to order a pizza and get it right. And it's just, there was a guy that used to comment that call him Pizza Boy. I forgot which one of our fans has done that. But the truth is, now that's basically his new nickname for me. It's making me want to go back in time and wish that, I think it was Taiwan that Chris Drury pitched against, that he got shelled in that game. And I wish that actually happened, where Chris Drury, instead of winning the Little League World Series, got treated like a batting tee. That's how bad I want to go back in time and mess with this guy's life. And it's sad because it's emotional response, and yes, I'm throwing in a little snark right there. But you know what? Sushi Drury, I like that one a lot better. But again, it doesn't. You guys hit the nail on the head. And Evan, I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to make a video about this, and I'm going to steal it because it's your saying that was there. So this might be the lead-in for it. But what's going to be remembered at the end of all of this is the trade Chris Drury didn't make and should have for Jake Gensel. Because he didn't make the deal
was all over that
would have put the Rangers over the top. And I, for one, I was against it. You know why? Because it would have caused a schism in the locker room because they don't know how to handle anything. If I was told we got Jake Gensel, I'd be going, oh my God, that's great. That's the best thing in the world. Instead, it was going to be, we gave away Kako. And where's he going to fit? I don't want to put Jake Gensel over Vinny Trocheck on the power play, or maybe take ice time away from Mika, who's still going to be crying. I mean, God, this is absolutely just, there's no end in sight. I can't deal with it anymore, but I'm doing it because I cover the team now.
Yeah. I mean, the one last thing that I have to go over with this was that, and this is pretty important, is that Vince thinks that any type of retool or rebuild that would happen would not be a 5-year plan, but would be like a 2 or so year plan where they sell off assets and try to flip for young NHL talent that would help now or in the near future.
Great.
And I know you guys are all, I listen, I agree with you. I know, but that's Dolan. That is absolutely Dolan. That will not stand for 5 years of rebuilding. And yeah, they
really? Because he did 10 years for the Knicks.
Yeah,
When you don't do it right, this is what you get.
I'm not surprised. It's just disappointing to have it reiterated. That's just really what it is.
I said this.
Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. We didn't win a Stanley Cup when we gave Henrik Lundqvist, a giant contract. So let's do it with Igor Shesterkin, even though he's nowhere near Henrik Lundqvist. Unbelievable. This is why I said this franchise doesn't learn from their mistakes. They keep making the same mistakes over and over again, and then they wonder why they fail. Like I said,
that was my biggest gripe with the Igor contract.
Like it's like me and my dad
tried
say
it already and it didn't work, and then you want to go do it again.
It's like me and my dad say 4 cups in 100 years. It's not a coincidence.
Josh asking about you, Evan.
I will do streams every now and then. I'm not going to do them for every single game like I did before, but every now and then I'll hop on the stream whenever you guys are doing a final buzzer. If you guys want me on, I'll join. I'll do a couple streams on my channel. When this team's inevitably in the draft lottery, I'll do a reaction to that. Just small streams here and there. Because this is not worth covering on a nightly basis. Absolutely the fuck not.
We would. I mean, we already talked about names like Sonny Meta and Rich Peverly. Rich Peverly would be a guy I would absolutely look at right away. I know that
Peverly literally died on the bench in Dallas, and then wanted to come back in the game after they revived him. That's the kind of guy you want in, because now he can go around and go, look at what I've been through. And I believe he's a Stanley Cup winner also with the Bruins, right?
Yeah, but Drury's a winner.
Yeah,
this guy's
proven winner as a general manager somehow.
Yeah.
Well, because he won a Stanley Cup where he was like the 7th most important player on the roster.
No, man. 2 years ago, we were regular season champions. Did you guys not see the banner in the Garden? Did you not see all the fans celebrating when they unveiled it?
Yeah, come on. Have you not seen the outdoor record in his tenure here? I mean, they got the Cocoa Cup, whatever it was called. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, he hates to lose. Yeah. Well, so does JT Miller, but JT Miller doesn't know how to handle himself when they lose.
I don't know. JT Miller seems like he loves to lose.
I got to address this one. I'm sorry. I know, Buck, you're saying you like to see Shanahan.
No.
But stop. We got to stop with all this stuff. No more celebrities. No more former players that are. We're going to give them the president's title. They should do. What has Matthew Darsh done as a player? Nothing. He's already reshaped the Islanders into a second-place team. That was one season. That was one
season. It was an off season that he had to work with. You know what? To be fair, yes, he benefited from having Matthew Schaefer. But one of the biggest things that they did, and we talked about this the other day with the Islanders in our stream yesterday, was that the vibes are different there. And when you like when you go to work and you like working in the environment that you work in, you're going to be productive. Work becomes enjoyable, tolerable, fun, even.
And could
we
I
got
also
another
even
one in the studio here?
Could I also even bring up something related to the Islanders? Look at the way they stand up for Matthew Schaefer compared to when Brendan Othman, I forgot which game it was, where he just got, it was the game against the Flyers, where he got absolutely trucked by Nick Delorier. Look at the response from them versus whenever something happens to Schaefer.
Yeah, exactly. And it speaks volumes about the difference between the two teams right now.
We got to introduce Statboy Steven, who's joining us right now. And
Steven, what do you think of Mike Greer?
Mike Greer, for a guy with zero experience, he's doing much better than Drury.
Why would they let him go?
I don't know. I guess the Rangers never let Drury go when the Buffalo Sabres and all the other teams wanted him. Maybe Drury felt a little different about letting someone else go for a GM role. And isn't Ryan Clough now an assistant GM?
Yeah, he's an assistant GM.
Yeah, Steven, I had the Homer Simpson Cousins video where I went through the unsuccessful shrimp company guy that was Jed Ortmeyer. The Tanner Glass was on there, and Ryan Clough was the assistant GM. Who is
look, the only way you get a job in the Rangers organization at this point is if you have worked with Drury in the past, either have been his teammate or worked with him for Team USA. It's the only way you get in.
Yeah, and the only way you get on the roster itself is if you're friends with one of the players,
or if you have sex with the niece of the head coach. That works too.
Yeah, that also.
But look. I've said this before, Mark, you remember when I said this. If you go to the Garden, you walk around the concourse and you whisper nepotism, the walls start to shake. That whole building it's just one big pile of nepotism. Does anyone remember when we used to draft the sons of our scouts?
Yeah.
Ooh.
And John Davidson hiring his brother as a scout and his son-in-law as the head of the scouting department.
Yeah, I didn't like the David Quinn bring back. I hated that.
By the way, just to mention this too, Jeff Gorton and John Davidson getting a free pass on this now. They're the ones that were enthusiastically going after Braden Schneider. We now can see Braden Schneider is not a good player.
Again, that tells you what you need to know.
I remember. Sorry to cut you off there, John. I remember the 2020 draft. John Davidson was wanted Braden Schneider because he was looking for a Victor Hedman type.
Yeah, he has right-handed Victor Hedman there.
Yeah, no, he really got a Victor Hedman type right there, right?
Those are the players you win Stanley Cups for it with. That's what he said.
There are a couple of things wrong with this team right now. Drury has sacrificed skill for grit, and the grit is not making them tougher to play against, right? That's a big deal. And also, JT Marshmallow is probably the softest player I've seen in a Rangers jersey ever. Like, the guy cannot stay healthy. If someone looks at him the wrong way, he goes down with an injury. It's ridiculous. And this guy was supposed to change the culture in the locker room. Every time we lose a game, all I hear is I need to be better, which the first time sounds great. The second time you're like, all right, fair enough. The third time it starts to get annoying, but by game 47, I don't need to hear it anymore.
Boy, that cried wolf.
Yeah, you need to be better? Great. Okay, show me. Don't tell me. Just show me that you can be better. And also, Vincent Trocheck does not escape any blame from me either, because he's been dog shit this season as well. He takes stupid penalties. He's frustrated on the ice, and it's costing the team.
Well, that's why he set the tone.
Culture doesn't change overnight. Here's the thing, right? We heard that the culture was going to change when Trouba was out, and then we heard that the culture was going to change when Kreider was out. Now people talk about, well, we just need to get rid of Panarin. Getting rid of one player at a time does not change the culture. Because
the rot is in the wood, you have to level the house. How many times do I have to replay it by quote?
Yes, exactly. And look, the only forward for me that gets a pass is Mika Zibanejad, because despite the tendencies that I still hate about him, he's having a good season. He has really turned it around, and credit where it's due. But Panarin, I'm not going to bother because he's going to be gone in 6 weeks.
Yep.
Miller, Trocheck, it's just not what it needs to be. Lafreniere, what can we say about him? Like he might actually be the dumbest player in the league.
Oh, he's gone. He's not on next year's opening night roster.
He's
not.
And I'm not comparing the players here because the other player was much better. Just want to get that out there before I say this. But Lafreniere's Lafreniere reminds me a little bit of Kovalev. When Kovalev had a 5-minute shift and he had no clue that it was a punishment, that's Lafreniere. Lafreniere has no clue that he's making mistakes. He's just on the bench, looking around, looking at the ceiling, wondering why the lights are on. Meanwhile, there's no light on between his ears. Like there's something wrong with him. There's something wrong with him. It feels like he doesn't want to play hockey.
It's funny because I likened him to Daig because it just wasn't there mentally. But it's a different way. But the other thing I said, and I said this in our group text with me, Mark, Jim, and Anthony, was that you could literally have an immaturity competition with the Hughes brothers and Lafreniere, and watch which one comes out on top. At least Jack produces, but like these are three of the most immature and brain dead.
Yeah, but it's a lot easier to put up with the antics when the player's putting up points. It's the same with JT Miller. It's a lot easier to put up with his shortcomings when he puts up 100 points. But when the 100 points are not there, same with Lafreniere. And right now we reached the point with Lafreniere where we're not even asking him to be a point per game player. All I'm asking him is to reproduce what he's done in the past. I just want him to be a 55-point player, and he cannot even do that.
The one thing I just need to mention when I brought up that comment was that's part of the problem. You don't care what the culture is, but just win the games. If you're focusing on games, games is one at a time.
Yeah.
Culture goes between game to game to an entire season to season to season to season. The Rangers can't instill a culture because they got to replace the coach every 2 years. So first off, the players, the number one problem is they identified the wrong locker room. You don't have a leader in this locker room. At least when you could go back to the 2015 teams or that era, Callahan was the captain. You knew that it was at least a good locker room. I know some people said at the end, like Callie wasn't as great of a captain as he was, but there was plenty of leadership in that room. I mean, Brad Richards probably could have been a captain, but then said they made it McDonough. So what? Culture starts everything. And it lets people know that's not the way we do things here.
Yeah. And Mark, I can accept that the team is bad because we know the team is bad. Like, this is not a team that's underperforming. This is just a team that's bad. I have no problem with the team being bad. I watched the Rangers in the early 2000s. Phil, you remember this?
Oh, absolutely remember the dark
I remember
ages.
those teams. I knew those teams were bad. But here's the problem I have with some players on this team, and especially Captain Marshmallow. When I watch him give up on plays, that's when I get annoyed. I don't mind them losing games. I'm really upset by the lack of effort. And here's the thing, and you all agree with me when I say this, sports fans in New York are very easy to please. All you have to do is give 100%, and they'll love you until the day you die. Colton Orr can walk around the garden, and he will never have to pay for his own drinks. You don't have to be a superstar player to be liked in New York. All you have to do is give 100%.
Oh,
look at the way this.
Go check my thread about Matt Rempe the other day.
Look at the way this fan base talks about.
Not the problem. Matt Rempe is not this. Matt Rempe is not that. You know how many people I had sticking up for him in that comment section and calling me an idiot, telling me that I'm an idiot and I don't know hockey. Like, I mean,
and here's the thing. Like, Brennan Othman has had his struggles, right? And he might not stick around. The one thing I can never fault him for is his effort. That's one guy that never gives up, that puts in all the effort. If Lafreniere took hockey as seriously as Brennan Othman, he'd put up 90 points.
year hung out a lot with Keandre Miller, who I think the same things about.
Mm-hmm.
They're like
they have
two
the same,
in a pod, those two.
They have the same tendencies. Like, I remember Keandre Miller needing time away from the team because his girlfriend broke up with him. I would have suspended him right there. Like, if you get, I don't even do that. When I was dealing with breakups, I wouldn't even take time off work. And I was making, like, what, in my early 20s, like making like $15-20 an hour. This guy's making millions, and he cannot even show up for practice because he had a fight with his girlfriend. Nah.
Yeah.
I'm so happy he's gone.
Well, I also heard some things about why that fight happened, but I can't mention them on air. Because also I can't confirm them yet. Evan, you were trying to jump in, and there was a point that I was thinking of. I just gotta remember.
Yeah, I was just gonna bring up related to the point Steven was saying that, you know, you give an effort and the fan base will love you. Look at the way this fan base talks about Will Cooley. There were fans that didn't want to trade him for Jason Robertson this offseason because Will Cooley puts in the effort every single game. It's literally all you have to do. And this is why when Lafreniere, like when I saw, you know, all this softball posts and everything, it's like, this is why I got mad. It's not because he can't enjoy an offseason. Go ahead and, you know, do what you want during an offseason. But it would be nice to hear about, oh, yeah, you're taking your offseason regimen seriously on top of this. But we've never heard Lafreniere, you know, that he's training hard in the offseasons or anything. When have we ever heard about any of that?
No, but Evan, all these players have to do, and this is all it takes, right? All these players have to do is 3-4 times during the offseason post a video of them in the gym. It only has to be a 10-second video.
Kako did it.
Kako did it. So many players do it. You want to know why? Because that's how a narrative is shaped. Perception is everything.
By the way, Steven, I just want to say, I know I like the Captain Marshmallow because at least you could say that. At the bar lately, I've been calling him Captain. It begins with a C, and it's a word said a lot in England.
I will not repeat it, but I use it. I use it almost daily. Yes.
Does it rhyme with? Does it rhyme with the word bunt?
Yep.
That's my favorite word. I use it every single day.
Work with English people, you'll be using it a lot, but I'm not using it so much as the English thing.
If you want to use like a workaround, just say "see you next Tuesday."
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that one too.
Actually, no. This acronym is better. Can't understand normal thinking.
That also.
By the way, that goes into his GM abilities.
Yeah.
Me and my dad call him Captain Fantastic. I have another word that I use, but I can't share it on this stream because we'll get demonetized.
Yeah, well, I think this one might have to delete this one at the end.
Yeah, look, I was told, and I know Phil was on board with the trade when it happened. I was always a little skeptical. I was told that JT Miller was going to come in and change the culture in the locker room. It's not that it hasn't improved; it has gotten worse.
It's gotten worse, yeah.
It's if it had stayed the same, you could convince me when you say it takes time. Like when Dolan says it takes time, sure, but it has changed in the wrong direction. It has gotten worse. And look, this team, I don't watch this team out of excitement anymore. I watch this team out of loyalty. Nothing more. I watch this team only because I'm a Rangers fan, not because I want to watch them. This is the most unlikable group of players I've seen in a Rangers jersey in my lifetime. And I watched them play through the late 90s and early 2000s.
Steven, it gets worse because the Islanders are 10 times more likable than them.
Yeah. The Islanders did like some skate outdoors with a couple of players.
Yeah,
when they
Andrews
were in
Lee's
Minnesota.
place.
Yeah, that was the intro for this week's show.
Okay. And look, the Rangers are very bad at this social media thing. Like they really don't know how to handle it, and they probably keep hiring the wrong people. At least, hopefully, the current social media manager doesn't hand out their prescription medication to players. But the Ranger social media has always been lacking. And I don't know if you guys saw this the other day, but the Rangers tweeted that they were going to have some great Winter Classic content. They called it a documentary. And then the following day, the video dropped, and it was 5 minutes. Like 5 minutes. Like, sorry, you are not going to win me over with a 5-minute video of a Winter Classic. Sorry.
This team isn't even a shade of the team that was in the 2018 Winter Classic. I'm not even going to compare them to the 2012 Winter Class, the 2012 Winter Classic team. I did have the year right.
Yeah.
That team, they fought to the end.
Mm-hmm.
They fought to the very end.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, even the point that Steven brought up with the culture taking a step backwards and getting worse. I mean, you could have easily saw that last year because statistically, after all the trades were made, after JT Miller was brought in, after Carson Soucy was brought in, after Will Borgen was brought in and extended, after Riley Smith was traded, that team was statistically worse than the team after the letter came, or not the letter, but the memo came out, and basically after everyone quit. They were statistically a worse team, and they played worse hockey just visually with the eye test. Like, you could clearly see that something was not right. But again, why do something different when you could just double down on something that doesn't work?
And what really concerns me is that once Panarin leaves, this team has 0 bona fide top 6 wingers. Perreault might be one in a couple of years, but once Panarin is traded, this team has 0 top 6 wingers. And they have 2 top 6 centers in Zibanejad and Miller, who are on the decline on the wrong side of 30. And you know the worst part about all this? The help's not on the way. There's nothing in the prospect pool. There's nothing in the system that is going to make up for losing a 90-point Panarin and Zibanejad and Miller declining even further to the point where they might not even put up 60 points anymore.
That's why they keep talking about making big swings and stuff like that. That's why they weren't on Quinn Hughes, because they absolutely have to know that that's going to be the case. Like,
yeah,
but then we open the treasure chest and see there's no assets to give up.
I mean, this is basically trying to print money so you can make trades, right? Like, they have no assets. They have nothing of value that they can trade because all the valuable assets are locked up with no move clauses.
Yeah, so they get to dictate. God help you if you found a diamond in the rough in an organization that they don't want to go to.
Yeah. But this all goes back to the fact that the Rangers don't know how to build a team through the draft. Look at every team that's won a Stanley Cup. I'm not saying every team that goes through a rebuild will win a cup, but every team that wins a cup has gone through a rebuild.
I mean, Vegas is the only one that did it this way.
Yeah, but Vegas had an expansion draft where every general manager was a fucking moron. And they gave them Alex Tuck, they gave them Shea Theodore, they gave them William Karlsson. They basically handed them a team that made it to the Stanley Cup final year 1. Why? Because general managers didn't want to lose their 29-year-old veterans. Do you know who Anaheim kept by giving up Shea Theodore? Does anyone remember?
Brandon Montour, right?
No, Josh Manson.
It was Josh Manson. Everybody knows who Florida wanted to keep over Marchessault and Riley Smith, right?
Alex Petrovic.
Yeah, Petrovic.
Minnesota wanted to keep Matt Dumba, and to make that happen, they gave up Alex Tuck.
Stupid.
These general managers, like, this is not like Gary Bettman didn't help Vegas. The other 30 general managers did.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to cut this short soon because I got to bounce out. And I think,
and so do I. Unfortunately,
but the last thing I want to put up here is our friend Davey Upper. Everybody loves Davey.
Yeah,
here.
Great guy, great
dude. He was listening to Darren Dreger with the Dregs and Ray podcast before, and Dreger said that the team lacks speed, the defense is good enough, draft capital is thin. Restless fans at MSG are surely being heard by owner James Dolan with Artemi Panarin's expiring deal looming large. Well, Darren, I hope you're right about that part about Dolan. I hope they hear the fire Drury chants and to get rid of this guy. But I really have a hard time. And I know that even Marek and Vince both said it before when they were on, how Dolan doesn't care about the optics with the fans. But because I can't see Dolan going back and firing Drury this year after all this, because I think he's too proud to admit that he made a mistake. So,
yeah. I do look forward to drafting Gavin McKenna just to be on the fourth line with Matt Rempe and Sam Carrick.
No, don't worry. That's not going to happen. They'll pass on McKenna and they'll pass on Bearhoff to take Tynan Lawrence, because Tynan Lawrence is going to go play at Boston University because the power of nepotism.
No, they'll be playing in the AHL, like fourth line minutes in the AHL, because they have to learn how to play the right way.
Oh yeah, no, that is true. In the Rangers organization, you have to learn how to play the right way first for 5 years. Yes.
No, you know what though? I listen. I'm not saying anything bad about Tynan Lawrence. I think Tynan Lawrence is going to be a hell of a player.
Great prospect. Yes.
Just absolutely incredible player. I think he's going to be a first line talent and probably a franchise building block for any team that gets him. But the fact of the matter is that you know that they are looking at a center, and they are looking at a guy that plays the right way, and he's going to a program that's right in their alleyway.
Yeah,
and also this too. Do we really want to trust the Rangers in developing Gavin McKenna's issues?
Well,
I gotta throw this out there.
Stenberg though, because he's not North American, so we can't take.
Yeah, when was the last time they drafted a Russian?
This year actually, Artyom Gonchar.
Gonchar.
Yeah,
because he's related to Sergei Gonchar.
Yeah, it's another nepotism pick.
Yeah, he's from Sergei's penis, so we gotta take him.
I do got to throw this out there, and something that we haven't mentioned at all in all of our years. I can't think of anybody that's mentioned this at all. When we talk about Jed Ortmeyer being the head of scouting or the head of development, it's amazing that you can't get anything out of them. You can't even get effort out of these guys. Jed Ortmeyer, the one thing he was effort.
Oh my God.
I would trust them being legit, Chris. But it's amazing, guys. You can't even get effort out of these players. And Jed Ortmeyer was all about effort. You never had to worry. That guy tried every shift. So how is this what we got?
No.
You know what? Listen, I'm going to have to cut this here. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah. But the one last
quality Larry hockey.
The one last thing I'll say is I'm gonna look at this comment here, and I talked about this before about getting the stench completely out, that both the players involved and the GM would have to go, and I would not be shocked if they are trying to do this, because there's no way that you can say that you're trying and roll off efforts like that. And I know this team's not good; they are horrendous, they are poorly built, but there is no way you can come out with effort after effort after effort like this and say that you are trying, especially when I know for a fact that the players quit on the general manager last year, and it wasn't the coach that they had a problem with. It was the GM. So,
I mean, that, and it's poetic that ever since Dolan said what he did on WFAN, they've been outscored, like 30-12 and they're 0-5, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so over the last 3 games, they have conceded 22 goals, which is the most in a 3-game stretch since 1985.
How would you know that?
Yeah, because I don't know. It's just in here. But no, look, the problem this team has, and I've said this team is at least 10 moves away from winning a Stanley Cup. At least.
I'm hitting the over on that.
Because
I mean, what you're basically telling me is that you need a whole new team.
Yes, this current iteration of the Rangers is not going to win a cup. If the sooner we accept that, the better.
Yeah, well, this is the last comment I'm going to highlight, and then I really got to shut this down, guys. I'm sorry, but not winning a game at the Garden since before Thanksgiving it's not poetic. I mean, it is in a way. It's pathetic, really, and you learn to accept it. You know, it's so pathetic, fucking bound for the floor status. But thank you all for coming on. I appreciate all you guys. Steven, even, I'm sorry we had to cut this short, but
That's right. I saw it late. I was at the pharmacy picking up medication for my wife, so I was happy I could jump on for 15 minutes.
No, absolutely. Happy to have you, man, anytime. And no, I'll try to be doing more of these. I have some time on my hands, so I'll try to be doing more of these. So I'll definitely start throwing the invites out a little more often because I love when more heads jump on and it's not just me babbling on like an idiot by myself. But yeah, definitely thank you all for joining. Thank you, all of you guys in the chats. I see you guys. I know JE, you and I like to get spirited with each other. I love it. Keep it coming, buddy. Because you give me life right now because I have nothing. I am fucking drained from how bad this team is. So anybody that can fire me up, I appreciate you. So thank you again, everybody. Like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends, your family. Yeah, I fucking hate to lose. I am Shorzy. I fucking hate to lose, boys. Fucking hate to lose. When you get pumped 6 goose in a no-show, it fucking sucks. And John Harbaugh, yeah, that's the only friggin' positive light I have right now. And supposedly the Yankees are working on a Freddie Peralta trade, and I'll take that and I'll run. So you know what?
Tucker saved me.
Phil, we haven't hit rock bottom yet. Did you know when we hit rock bottom? When Ranger fans will chant "Let's go Wolfpack" like it did in the early 2000s.
Oh my God, I was there for a lot of those games, man. I was there for a lot of those games. Tell you, I used to go to a lot of games back then. And
yeah.
Wait, where's Kyle Tucker going? Somebody said Kyle
Tucker. I said Tucker saved me because he might make his decision today.
Oh, yeah, I saw something about that. I didn't know if he signed yet or not. But all right. Thank you all again. I appreciate it. Steven, Evan, Matt. Oh, my captain for jumping on and helping me too. And Matt again for Monday night and holding down the fort. Again, I got a beer with your name on it when I get back. So
yeah, I'm gonna have some sushi pizza right now.
On that note, thank you all again, and you guys and girls, but sorry, all have a great day. Let's go Rangers.